Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to start my response to the budget probably in a little bit more a different note than my colleague, but I did so enjoy what my colleague had to say. Mr. Speaker, today, or a couple days ago, as I was looking at my response to the budget, I searched for a much deeper meaning to getting up and supporting this budget, by the way. And of course I will reject the amendment, and just in case I run out of time, I just want to make sure that's on the record. My dad passed away on January 3rd of this year. My intention here today, and my comments will be in response to the life I had with my dad. I am honored to be here today. I'm honored to represent the constituents of Regina-Wascana Plains, and I am honored to be his daughter. I am honored to have learned what values are and to stay true to those very values. To give a little history, Mr. Speaker, my dad took over a company a very long time ago. His grandfather and his father started a company that was really very much entrepreneurial. They took the cinders from the railway, my great-grandfather took the cinders from the railway and figured out a way to use these cinders that were sort of tossed aside by the railway at that particular point in time, over 100 years ago, and use them to build what we now know today, cinder blocks, or Cindercrete products. I watched, and as I grew up, I saw the hard work. There was no substitute for my grandfather. I didn't know my great-grandfather, but my grandfather and my dad. There was no substitute for that. And he truly instilled in me that in order to get anything done, you must work for it. There was nobody ever going to give you anything. And I've never expected anything. And I worked according to those values that my dad and my mom instilled in me. Do the hard work, Christine. Don't complain. Stick with something and be true to it. Not unlike what we're doing here today and what we've done over the past week. The budget that we have presented is tough. And it's tough for a reason, because we were not going to kick our deficit down the road to leave it for somebody else to do it. We're going to deal with it. And I know my dad would have said, right on, because that's how he dealt with the trials and tribulations of running a company for a very, very long time. There were times that I knew when I was growing up that this company was on the brink of going under. I knew that. And I've been through those times with my family. And so the answer my dad did deploy in that particular point in time is you deal with the issue, you don't spend money you don't have, you deal with it so that it will be better tomorrow. That's exactly what's happening today. And if he were here, he would agree with how this government has handled this deficit.
Absolutely.
Because he didn't spend money he didn't have. If he wasn't selling concrete, if he wasn't selling bricks, he would not have spent the money, and he did not. And I knew that. I did not have everything handed to me because of that long-held belief that you don't just get everything just because. You're not entitled to anything. You work hard for it, and if you happen, because of your hard work and your ingenuity and your honesty and integrity, if you knew that those things would carry you, and they did. I had people come in before my dad passed away. He suffered for 12 long years with dementia, Alzheimer's. And what would happen, and how my dad looked after other people. And not that he had a lot of money at the time. He would help people that were struggling with a handshake. With a handshake. And those people, their sons, come to me now and say, did you know what your dad did? He helped keep my dad's company afloat. That's what we're doing here with this budget, is that we're helping keep this economy afloat. I know exactly what he would have said to me in response to what we had to do. He would have been proud of Saskatchewan. He would have been proud of this government. And I know he was proud of me. The greatest gifts my dad helped with, I suppose, in my life are, of course, my sister and my mom. And Dad often told me that and I was young then, that my very best friend in my life would be my mom. And guess what, everyone? She is. And for that, I am so eternally grateful. But I'm also eternally grateful for those values that he instilled in me, and that hopefully I have, in part, passed them on to my children. And I am, his life is a celebration. And in celebrating his life, the only things I can do is be honest, be truthful, and to look at the challenges and deal with them. Pick up the rock and look underneath and see what you're having to deal with. And not be afraid of it, much like our budget. Sure, we could have been afraid and said, oh no, there's too much backlash here, there's too much, no, we don't want to deal with it from a political standpoint. We did not, because we have the guts and the integrity and the honesty to deal perfectly clear with the people of Saskatchewan. We are being honest with the people of Saskatchewan. And we're being honest with how we're going to deal with it. And none of us prefer to be in this place, in the place of a deficit that we had because of the low revenues from our resources. No one wanted to be here. But that doesn't mean we close our eyes and put our hands over our ears and say, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to continue on, try and pull the wool over Saskatchewan people's eyes. We weren't going to do that because we know that Saskatchewan people are smarter than that. Absolutely. And Saskatchewan people know what it takes to take a bad situation, deal with it, because tomorrow will be better. Here, here, here. But not if we don't deal with it.
That's right.
And so today, my life, my legacy, my dad's legacy is through me, my mom, my brother and sister, and I'm proud of that legacy. I would not have stood here today and said the things I've said if I didn't believe with all my heart and soul that this government is doing exactly what they needed to do. And we need to stand strong, and we are. We are standing strong, and we must. We must stand strong because we need to do the best for the people that put us all here.
Absolutely.
I want to talk, and I'm going to move away a little bit from this, and I'm going to quickly talk about something that is imperative. And I just want to say my dad's businesses over the years have always been in southeast Regina. They used to be on the outskirts of Regina, but you know, they kept getting kicked out because the city of Regina kept growing. And that's a good problem. But anyway, they moved out east. That was the last move they made. And so, you know, and I'm watching this land, the land that moves around the city of Regina and from the east, and the bypass. And I recall my father saying to me that about this bypass that was you know, being designed or put together by the members opposite. And I thought, oh, okay, Dad. You know, he says, yeah, I think that'll be you know, a really good idea. My dad never criticized, but I always knew where he stood. This is a good idea. This is good for Regina. That is good for east of Regina. And but waiting. He said, you know, Christine, they're saying they're going to put this bypass. Waiting. It never happened. The inaction of the members opposite, the government before us, we suffered many years of that inaction, compromising ease of traffic, but more importantly, the safety of travelers, safety of commercial vehicles. This year's budget is, of course, the second highest in Highways history. We're building the bypass. This is not just one roadway. No. This is a system interchanges. And we should, as a province, be proud of that. I know if my dad were here today, he'd celebrate what's happening with the Regina bypass. Absolutely. And he would say, it's about time. And not only that, Mr. Speaker, what the bypass is doing is employing Saskatchewan companies. And I'm sure if he had been here today, perhaps he would have been involved in it. I don't know. He's not here anymore. So, but I know he would have been proud. He was a proud Saskatchewanian, as we all are. Absolutely. And was proud of the values and the ethics and the honesty and integrity of Saskatchewan people. And I am indeed proud of that also, Mr. Speaker. I support the budget. I'm not going to get into anything else that I have lots of paper. And, but I know that in tribute to my father, in tribute to my dad, that I agree and support the budget, the very difficult budget that this government made. And I will not support the amendment. Thank you, Dad.